Sisley Payne. Que foi a funcionária com a família, a mais Sissi, com o pai que tari lele, tari loto na fama. Que ela Maria com o papel com mega mãe, o lavete e aí tola na lava mãe de na reforma mamã, que já deu o nome. Agora eu uma última ia a home, tuanya uma enfermidade. Kalau ni memang kalau fakah yang memfakalkan lagi orang tua, lakas fakir ini, macam dia. Kau pung fakir dia, dia waktu tu kita main. Dia tapi pas macam fakir. Memang dia buat sini ada kamuti tu, dia ini. Tapi uhinan kawin. Kau tahu ini pun ini kau fili dia. Kau lebih muat ke sini, kau lebih ke 5 tahun. Pelama ke apa dia ki fare lot, ke lotu dia yang tak dia. Perantara moti. E poi me accorto a essere a fare una Mario con l'otto di Paula e Maude mi ha detto un po' come fare che se sia fiaffi cau Maude che cau fatta cau todo che fa calare la lì e poi e uscire il monte a un capo a storia poi hai un figlio todo che è mia e Hawaii tari lei, dan boleh fight kau, boleh mengumpulkan moti. Itu time kini fakahau tu ada kumpul, dia pulau yang terkuat, kalau orang family makan lei kita Palataisi. Tahu orang apa yang mungkin dia buat dia apa itu, kalau time itu apa yang orang atau moti dia moti, dia kau ini. Dia pule pia ke kauli. Tanto huyu muhindi ya siasi ni pule pia ke kauli. Kuya ile programa que tá corrigida da prova. A busio sio que programa o que hace kauli. Por el kauli boni, la kamai. Aí tá vida para a pessoa que fano que amo. Na mafuta ni afu Maude ya kutima mamu. Ya mausi mo te ma he que to ta ni o pa ko la é o limite humano lo como algo que iba muito quando não vi mais não digo ni o lá como é o tempo do bem mau ai ka moti pa ke mau hao ma te lo ki ko moti e to la he ka ti ko e a hon ko ka ri o le pa ke o mai kada mau ki fei ka te bo vi ko moti tu ko tokanga ia te ia loto ha kumi andonga okune ke yui ie ahoni ai aluhe fokinki api kokima Foki na atomui Vaveketa foki mai o tau eiki Ai aluhe foki ki api Foki ma ki api Olo ai tatali Tamai taki au
Australia, me funola, kauma Atearoan, te befoki i tonga eiki. E nau au kau mai ke kau whata i Malaria. Malo e whare rei ko whai ki nau moui, toloi whiu no mati ku ngā mua kowi. Kalawa i ke mau tō whata e ahko ni eiki. Kono mau e ngā pe ia, ke mau kau whata. I whahoko ato a whawhita i kama whamara. Ka koe hulu e whia ma whamaro e ahko e eiki. Koe whae, whai tonu, whai o skia verena, whai mā te aki, tai mā rea e whamiri ka mā e sesi e ahko e. Tala e hai e ngaro se mau tuku hai, e mau kei kipa ma mātā tonu, ai toanga e whae koe. O wola ia, e hāsino, e whanau e nau oupou, mo kei lango me whatongia whakatoa ko tuku mai, nanai tuku mai ka te. Tala hai eiki, nei honge whaingata, ai whanonga ngā, ai whō mai e ngā i peawa. Ka kouhiru e tamihala e Fiona, kone e whakalakai he tau whakawhoro whala, o mau tala, ka au ka whitunga whuru. Ka mau e au, he malu mo whuru koe toi pēka moe mo eiki. Maro o ofa, lahi whau, aho o whākua ne whakalaka ai e tau whakawhorowhala. Pea mahina ka teki mau tolu, koe keresi moe ofa a Fiona ulau ana. mau kore ta mai ki tanga mua whai tā pukina ai whae koe ni kua lawenga mahari e aha koe ni toi tāna ki mai muha mai aha kula nai aha monuia e kei hoka te pē mau whono ngā eiki ko i ngā i tō wanga merie e inu me ai e si kau mai whamiri aha eke koe korokala mai ka manaki ke kamata mau kore ko whai tā pukina ho whai whikau i ki tainu ka mga tōka ki o whora awhio tumo ke hoko e whakakaukau pa ahoni pa mea e pātoro aki ai mau mui me tainu ki tāni e hoko e ko la mama ke hurukuru o te mau para kai toi mahu i ngāne eiki ka mau tala na fua ke whikau tumu mai o mau tāpua ka tau te whito ke alunga ke kalama na koeni ma ala i te whai e kau e pēa whioni mangi pēa whioni awa mea mahu ngā eiki ai whae mau whatata mai a koeni o mi mua ta mai a tāpua ki mawahe mai whae koeni i ahoni mau kore ngā meani mua whakasisu place ko alo o mai whakuhi Amen.
Amen. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. On three, I'd like for you to repeat after me. I want you to say, Happy birthday, Morty. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, Morty. Happy birthday, everyone. We're here together. What a privilege to be together. As I considered the blessing for Nana today, I thought to myself, what would be the best biblical metaphor that we could use? The symbol that we can look at biblically that would just be the perfect idea of what Nana Morty resembles. And for me, as I was studying through it, I thought, oh, the altar. The altar. The altar is not a New Testament idea. It's one that we find in the Old Testament quite frequently, though. And it's a very useful tool that the people of the time used. Altars were often raised up in the house, usually around family worship, and it's centered around the idea of sacrifice and devotion. The first time we see the altar being used in the Bible is in the story of Noah. After the great flood, he lands on the land, he sees the rainbow promise from God, and he puts together an altar there to remind the people what God has done. We know biblically that quite possibly Cain as well as the sons before that had used it, but not until Noah. We see Moses erect an altar after the great war against the Amalekites, where they were ready to extinguish Israel. You remember that story, where Moses' hands were held and God prevailed. And because he prevailed, they built an altar. The altar was to remind everyone who saw it that God was there. And then, of course, the story of Abraham, who's well known for his use of altars. He built 4 altars in his journey through life. His first altar was an altar of praise in the book of Genesis chapter 1:12. This was to remind Abram at the time that he was called to a scope of divine blessing. He built this altar so that people would recognize God has a blessing in store. You see, altars were not just used for sacrifice and a show of devotion. Altars were built literally so that when someone walks by that altar, they would stop and recognize that the God of the universe moved on earth there in their presence. Abraham builds another altar, the altar of prayer. Noted Abram's purpose. He removes from the lowlands to the mountains in verse 8, and the higher ground there of his faith, so to speak. May this be our praise today. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. An altar of prayer. Again, Abraham builds another altar in chapter 13. Abraham and Lot, if you remember that story, they began to acquire the herds and tents, and they were going to split. And so as they split, Abram built another altar there to remind him that God is a God of peace. Even when there's division in the family, God brings peace. Somebody say amen. Amen. Turn to somebody and say, bring some peace. Amen. We've been divided too long and too often over the foolishest things. But Abraham builds this altar between him and his family member who were going through division to remind them that even in those moments, God brings peace. We are a people of peace. So that when everyone walks by this built altar, they will recognize, oh wow, God was here and he brought peace. Again, chapter 22, Abram built another altar. This is an altar of provision. You may remember this very famous story that we tell each other, where he brings his son up the mountain, and his son says, what shall we sacrifice? And what does Abram say? God will provide. God is a God of provision. He always provides. So Abram and Isaac climbed to build an altar together. And in that place where Abraham was not sure what the outcome was going to be, God already had a plan in store. Building altars. In fact, there's only a couple times in Abraham's story where he didn't build an altar, and in those moments is when Abraham failed at his task of faith. If you remember when he denied his relationship to who his wife was supposed to be, and so there was a lot of commotion there. Why? Because he forgot to put the altar for God. The altar of worship, the altar of devotion. It is imperative for you and I to stay close to God's altar of devotion and worship. And so I often think of my grandmother, Maude, to this day as an altar. You see, when Jesus came, he was the supreme altar where he died on the cross, the supreme sacrifice. We no longer need these altars around. But Paul says in the book of Corinthians, therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. In other words, we don't need stone altars anymore. What God needs is altars of flesh. What God needs is people who will be a people of worship and devotion, so that when others come into engagement with us, they can say, wow, there is a God that is still alive. He doesn't need the rocks to cry out and the stones to speak. He needs his people to live in worship and devotion. An altar of flesh. I think about Nana as a living altar of flesh. Her life has been that of a living sacrifice. Her love and her devotion for God and for the church and for her family has been bar none. It has been her task in her life to constantly be a living altar, so that when people come to the altar, they don't admire the altar, they admire who the altar is for. Some people in church, we like it when people admire us. Somebody say amen. We want to come, oh, mercy, look, she looks great today. Oh, praise the Lord, he's got that nice car. Some of us like to be admired. Our job as an altar is not to be admired, but that we point to the one who should be admired. Ngalutuku is one who is an altar, not of beauty and aesthetics for herself, but of devotion and service, so that when people experience her, they can say, wow, Jesus is alive. She does what she does to the very best of her abilities and always has. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, what I am saying to you this morning, my friends, even if it falls your lot to be a street sweeper, go on and sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures. Sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well. Our job in life as followers of Jesus is not to bring attention to ourselves. It is to bring attention to Jesus. While Ngalutuku comes from a family with prominent pedigree in mission work and the inception of the Adventist movement in the Pacific Rim in the island of Tongan, Nana herself never made or held high position. She did not go around unpretendingly arrogant, but the light of her 100-year life has always been bright because of the way she loved and served her community. Let the church say amen. I want you to know how important this is. I really want you to know how important this is. I work for the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I'm a conference administrator for my conference, Southern California Conference. I partner with my union on many occasions. I am blessed to be named after a wonderful pastor who I've considered family and uncle. I'm blessed to have a grandfather who was a pastor in the Adventist Church. All of this is possible because of the work that happened in Tonga, and I for Nana's work and her family's work. None of us would be here had Nana stepped forward and worked. This is so important. You know how close, people don't know this. Family, sometimes we don't get it either, but we're around it. Familiarity breeds contempt. We don't realize it. But Nana Moimoi is Adventist royalty. She is one of the closest to the pioneers of our church. Born 1919, do you know that Ellen G. White just passed away 1915? Ellen G. White, the prolific writer and mother of this church, passed away just a few years before Nana's birth. Some of you don't even know who Ellen G. White is. The work in our Adventist church began in the late 1800s, 1895. I don't have time for that. We've got someone much more knowledgeable about to share the history of Nana and the church. But in 1895, the beginning of the church begins, and things happen, and there's a movement that is going about. Nana's life has been around that. Nana's family has been around that. And today, the Adventist Church celebrates 25 million adherents globally because of the work that people like Nana Moimoi and her family. It's powerful. I'm blessed to be an Adventist because of my roots. People often invite me and they say, hey, would you come down and speak for us? And I say, sure, I'll come and speak for you at your conference. Yeah, just fly me through New Zealand. Why do we need to fly? Why do we need to fly you through New Zealand? Because those are where my roots are. How can I preach to you unless I'm connected to my roots? Fly me through New Zealand and I'll come speak. Don't fly me through New Zealand, find someone else. All right, we'll fly you through New Zealand. Many of you are blessed to have Nana here at your disposal every day. Do not take for granted this human altar who has put Jesus, the church, and her family always before herself. This is what we celebrate. Don't wait for a funeral. Sometimes we wait for funerals before we talk good about people. Let's talk good about people while they're alive. Someone say amen. We're busy talking bad about people when they're alive, and then when they die, oh, that was a good man. Well, that's good. You said you don't know. Okay, sorry. Don't think about them. Don't consider them. Visit them. Don't think about Moki. Don't celebrate her in your own home. Come celebrate her. Because of her 100-year life, she has brought goodness to her family and her children. She has brought honor to her grandchildren. She is the life and the blood of what we do. From sewing clothes. How many of you, just by show of hands, have ever had something sewed by Nana Moimoi? Anybody? See, yeah. Probably wearing it right now. 40 years old, I'm still gonna wear it. From being a rest for sojourners who passed through the land, whether it was to care for missionaries or to bless pastors as they come to visit, or caring for the needy, or the deep love for her children, or raising and counseling her grandchildren and their children, or just sitting around and letting her talk your ear off. She's an altar in flesh. In the early 80s when we left Tongan, yes, I was born in Tongan. In the early 80s when we were leaving Tongan, I was quite young at the time. We were about to depart, and it was a really difficult time for a small child. And Nana was holding me. And we couldn't pack everything to go. We packed what we could. And it just so happened that we didn't quite pack my flavored blanket. Every child needs their blanket, amen. We were making one of the greatest moves in our life, not sure where we were going to land, not sure what was going to happen before us. We didn't know if we were going to succeed or fail, what was going to fall apart. And so we were getting onto this bus, and Nana was holding me, and I was crying. I didn't have my blanket. She reaches into her side pocket. You've never seen Nana reach for stuff? You know, she likes to reach for stuff, especially money, in case you need to stop by there. Reaches into her pocket. She pulls out a piece of my blanket. She had taken and cut the corner off and sewed it together. And she gave it to me and put it to my nose, and she says, whenever you feel lonely or you feel discouraged, put the little blanket to your nose and know that I will always be with you. So when the possibility for me to come back to New Zealand, what do you think I did? I came back because it was that moment that gave me courage and power to be the person I am today. We give her great homage. We celebrate her for her faith and her love and her goodness. She has been an altar of light to the world. She doesn't need a grand title or a large house or money. She just wants to be a light. Jesus challenges his listeners in the book of Matthew chapter 5 that in the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Today we celebrate Nana's light that shines so bright, it draws us into it. Her passion for the church, her love for God, her sacrifice for her children and her family. She has never asked for more than for her children's love and for the Lord to be loved. God keeps her lamp shining because even in the dim flicker that it is, in the darkness it burns bright as the day. She's still a blessing to all who passes by her, this living altar that we are before today. Even my friend Donovan Childs, he came to do a week of prayer here. He's a pastor back in Southern California. He says, hey, your family lives there. I said, yeah. He came, he did this week of prayer. Next thing I see him taking pictures on Facebook with my grandmother. I said, what are you doing? He says, well, I just decided she's going to be my grandmother too. Some strange man from America comes and falls in love with my grandmother because she's a shining beacon of light. She's a living altar. Every congregation I share stories with aspire to do the same in their own homes. Let's celebrate Nana today by staying close to the light that she has reflected her entire life, even till today. Staying close to the altar that points to Jesus. In her fragile and baritone voice, with every breath she struggles to release what is in her spirit as she softly sings her strength found in the amazing grace. In songs like Anywhere with Jesus, I can safely go. When the trumpet of the Lord shall sound, and time will be no more. He's the lily of the valley, and I surrender all. And if you're not sure whether she's spirited or not, just because of her voice, just look at her feet because they begin to move when she sings. Her feet tell the story of her faith. You would be ashamed if her light brought warmth, direction, and hope to everyone. But we, her children, fail to see the entirety of that light. For a century, Nana's light was never to focus on her. But the entirety of that light is so that we can see and follow Jesus. And we celebrate Nana today. As we celebrate her, may we in turn celebrate and follow Jesus. I want you to join with me. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Let's sing. Let's sing. Courage, And grace. Father, we come this day to celebrate a monumental occasion, a giant in our family and church. It is not her denominational royalty that brings us hope, but her love, service, and devotion. I pray that as we come together today, we are inspired by her life, that we are increased in aspirations, that we not turn back but stay close to the altar of Jesus, that we too would be a living sacrifice, so that as we walk and talk and live in this world, people who engage with us could say, wow, Jesus is alive. Bless us as we are blessed to be in the presence of your daughter, Maude. We thank you for her many years. We ask that you would grant her many more years. We ask that you continue to keep her light shining, so that we too could take that light into the world, bringing you to all. We pray this in the name of Jesus Christ, that all God's people say, Amen.
I don't think this microphone is on. Hello, thank you. Going down, going your quiet up in the Mabahan, Vermelia, Connie Edmund, Viola. Now is your time for the next special item. Please, if you can make your way down to the front. Mua cầu kỳ hi cái mặt kỳ bằng không hello kita mau kita pergi ke tempat apa ini apa ya Koe taina mare koe ni, me kore lea kia klane ru. Te gata mai ki wae, hako, me te kalafi, panga lotu, te sapi tu koe tonga, mawa ki.
Alo, ibu saya pilih apa ni semua sebab pak kata saya Maude saya Latu lepas ke kau kata siapa sama Huawei Panau, ang buko ng may pagi, may kamay, patwapel, kalgay, hatatay, at natapos yung mga kaya yung kaya pakete, kaya hon yung mga pagkamay ko ni, kaya lea, sana bubu ka tengo mo, mo ang ako pagkatengo ako, Mawina, koe, mga istorya, tanda-tahan, mauwi at totahan. Commonwealth, pero koe, pagpili, wausi at totahan, pamagtataw, at mauwi. Pero ito mga wausi ay hasapehe, o may Talamu para nangani ni avion pensaro quello che vedo qui in Italia anche video che molto sigan so vai talamu até ako fai taai também ako dia a europea lava che tava sia suga che per que le veemos o mau pia que la categoria ma o pa ya hon pues tal como categoria o pa que más a pia pero la toma ya o un cambio de campo de Tongan, Australia, América, na provoque o patata mai a hon ko ina ka maudina o sia a per Paula figlia per tanto nei tale video che ma poi ti va a bere cantava o buate viva poi di happy birthday per la onda via per la tanti Kalau kita ubi hilang kawan kota, tapi berbeda lagi lama aku ada rumah mau mata, dia berapa, ketika saya berikut kemarau ini ada barangan, tapi tahu gue, pokoknya Latu gue ini per manatui ai fai de tau sui tai per to mai ko ta ko ya ta ke ya ko ta ta barang ta ke ya pa ta la ye ya per ta hai ai manatu ke ta dai ai ko pui ta ko per ta dai fai ke ta le ma ko in Tongan thì mà ngày sau lại và vào thì học bây giờ để chia và nó có một cuốn này một người có cái máy và khoa học và phát chống lên lại tay để chia sẻ để khoa học rồi và một cái phải là tại cái đôi bên làm tay về mà nó có cái mặt thầy tôi nghĩ tôi pada pae. Petupungan ini tolak pada beses api itu. Kita kodu esiasi itu. Kita mahu hidup tolu. Nah, pelan bayar yang dalam Los Angeles, kalau mai saya api itu kepas pilih. Penai tu kau kau, penai motu keke tu keke apa? Takkan dia apa kau dia? Karena terakhir tu, pertama hidup tolu atau tak kerok. Kemudian we pitch bahwa kita konflik. Kalau aku naik dia tu tak bayar, naik kereta terakhir tu itu. Pertanyaan saya kereta aku bertok kabul. Saya memang belajar apa itu cerai itu sendiri. Kenapa bertok kabul berpuja? Jadi kita tak kira orang awak yang bermahati nanti kita tu khasiat kita bahaya dia. Kadang apa bermahati kita tahu naik potong lah. Kalau kita mati itu lah, kita nak berpakai bagaimana? Siapa kiki Australia tak kita Tawar gimana? Tapi tu gua yang main di sana di Tongan, yang main tu tak mau dia. Saya berkuliah, apa lagi? Yang main di Tongan, di Palataisi, kena ikut negara berpatoria, jadi itu berhubungi. Karena makwai menunggu siasi dengan kiri-kiri ai mangai mokoro kepadunia ke howe kimbe Tui na makwai yang piula amangan kemataan siasi karena au akhirnya kimbe pai dengan pemaui pengen pemaui pengen kemataan siasi Kamari apa yang kamu kami Latu menunggu. Temu kantor lain, terbuka. Hai kita tahu mana dah dia sendiri apa? Asyik Latu. Terbuka mai kaya kepala yang membawa. Charles Edwards, Maria Edwards, na Paula, que siya Latu, nagtatangata ako, ay ikaw, papakaw patungiya, sa Maria, ang Maria mo siya Latu, o mamamot. Mamamot, ang Moimoi, pag-ikaya, pag-ikaya. Karena obat pagi. Saya berpai Latu di mana yang mengenai dia. Orang benar pada, itu dia orang kami. Orang benar pada, aku mesti berpai. Tapi tak boleh orang. Bapa hendak mesti tu break satu. Ketika wahai dan apa yang orang Imangai, tak boleh pasang dia yang ada. Kalau saya aman, dia panau, kalau kuna bertopi begi siasi, orang yang masih siasi. Ini tamat kehike, panau, lalu saya pasang dia, kuna apa? Saya pasang dia, kalau tu baik tahu, kita tahu berpanau, namun Latu, macam Latu, kenal dari, mai, penua, muntah yang tahu, kita ini tak tahu, saya itu Te pake whakamaro, pati koe mua. Ki he tawa koe mua. Whanau tola, whanau koe whakapuna. O tūpe he pia Palataisi, aina hina. Tamara, whanau pinoa, whanau ngāi keke. Te kou whamaro. Whamaro he mawe a mawinga koe ni. Te tau kata he. Tarama ke kata ka kono whamaro ka te koe. Ai ngau, ka ke whakahopu kua hiri. O amai ke roro Tongan. O Maude, whanau. Whakapopuna, whakapopuna noua. Ai ngai, patumina. Ngau lele i he siasi, ka mo ngau. Mai whanua, ante whamaro ka te koe. Nea mo, pe a koe ni, ka te ngara, ka mau o lahia ka te koe. Pa kia ha, hale a te ungai. Ia, ka te koe a hau. Te mo, ka mao, ko tu ki mo tau, ko tu kono. Ko mo lahi mai te tau kata, e a hau. Hono, ka mau inga mo no salutei. Ai a koe, ke te ana he. Ko ngara koe ki koe koe kata, ai maa ka koe kata. Te au koe, ki tau mata a pere i ngahu, ma waka ki lupa lupa.
Whamaro ki he rea manu. Moe rea mahino. Tunu whamahino e tātou. Ai o hina, moe whanako. Pene te ngatai. Rame monua e moe whanaka. Moe tai ngana mai. Tatu ni taki. Matai taki exercise. Physical behavior que vai me botar do meta na frase. Ko voi pe o pe ken ko tu mua. Ko me kata ko me teu. Ma ko wa tu mua ha folau fo kai na pa tai. Pa mo kuna ka mo kata ko me pa to lunga. Ma ni ko tu mua. Mo no kia ki fo no mo ni mo no kata. Mo kata ko me.
Eren, con corona por ahí.
Come on, so I let him sit down and just wait. Thank you. Pamalon, Moto, Moimoi, they offer from one another. Koe, thankfully, Paula, Francis, I have a campaign Francis, on my e Alice, sama di kapita, lalu hari ini aku ni Alice, kamu mah ini kalau boleh kata Alice, karena kami kata Alice, nama
benediction, I want to invite the Tongan Mission President to come up and do our closing prayer at this time. As he's going to make his way up, as a man, come up. I want to invite everyone to stand up at this time, please. Stand with me. And we're going to clear your throat. We're going to sing happy birthday. All right. Everyone, 2, 3.
Happy birthday.
Okay, no, the song. There it is. President comes up to close us with prayer. I want us not to just celebrate Maude today with the way we dress and the way we've come, but in the spirit of her life. Amen?
Amen.
Which means we need to love better. Amen?
Amen.
So just before prayer, I want you to turn to someone right now and say, I love you. As I was sharing with our family worship this week, I want you to notice something. What do you notice about yourselves right now?
Happy.
You're happy.
Happy birthday.
You imagine just the words "I love you" makes you happy. What if we show those actions to each other? Huh? What if we live that spirit that Nana's put inside of us? I don't know what spirit you've held coming into this place, but I want to implore you as we leave here, let's love better. Amen? Amen. God bless you.
Talotu, e doa mafi ko do mai ya le ya fiona. Ma fa fitai mo fa ma ke toi ke wi ke ofa ke me tau ki la le mo mo wi. Ho wa ia mo mo wi ho ko ni no ka fa ta. I ka toana ke ma la ni fa fi ke mo family. Ke wi be ko ma na fa ya fiona la le fa e fi te ko moti. Modi e mai. Koe kaunia I he oau, koe mo kātoanga whahistoria. Haha o fia I mawausia I tak koe. Koe mau whawhita I mo whamaroa ke koe. Koe tāna kwaki o mo whakoloa. Koe whainasa ke whae whita koe. Koe hange me mo mau tāla mo mau akonaki a koe. Nai hoko mea I mo uigo este ngaulau. I whamiri ki siasi ka maa whanau. Ke o malau munu mo la koloa ai, ke o hi, ke o whakakoloa ka me tākwaki. Ko e whafo mai I whae whita koe ni lawe e family, siasi ka mo whanua. Houga au pito, ki misiona, sias awhito I Tongan, ai whiga lau ko whae family koe ni, ke kawai ka me kaunanani. Ko mtu mo unga, ke o hoko tangata, ai ngāu e sias awhito I Tongan iki. Ke o hipe koe whina rau. Ke mo te taki hala na me whae kohini o whafo mai I whamiri koe. Ke mo whawhita mo whamaro a ke koe. Ma roto eke ka mikina mai e kaunanga, mo toenga kātoanga a koe. O na ngāro eki, e minista amaro a kalani. Ke veke whamiri mo toa. Kina tolu, ma whai whalau mai, me o muri, e veke kina tolu, I Aotearoa. Tuke mau whiohi e whiwhia me merino e a whina o nge veko mau tāma I Auckland ki mau maho e whio whaaki e te kuatou. Tamari mai o keresi ka mo alo whaafo whonoaki. Mo whainasi ake e whae whita koe e bebe e mau toluni kono kotoa. Pero mau ka mātuku pe me hini. Na mau hau me mau whinoaki me mo ese lau lau koe I whamiri siasi ka mo whanua. Te mau ilo ai. Na mau whenua ki o koe sisu. Tāmi kina mai aki mau tō Whatutu kwa peki mātou ko merino, o whai o wani, o kerese tau eki, si sukalais o whalahe au tua koe tamai, e mo whio he lau mare mātou neoni, e no whumau e te ki mātou ni, o toa pēr ka hiri ka whare ta kata.
Ano, yes,